Hello, everyone, and welcome to the new live event on Backend track. My name is Haris. I am the mentor on the Backend track, and hopefully I'm going to help you learn everything regarding the backend. I mean, not everything, but yeah, I'm going to try. First of all, thank you for all your amazing support and all the positive comments. It's really nice to hear that. I didn't answer to all of your questions on LinkedIn. Keep in mind, there are so many of them. So yeah, hopefully I will answer them as soon as possible. For today's lecture, we are going to talk about how the web works. So this lecture is for all the fundamentals on how the web works. Like I want to talk about what are the clients, what are the servers, what's URL, HTTP, how the requests and responses function, and I will talk about the assignments. So there were a lot of questions regarding the week 1 assignment. I didn't want in the beginning to give you an assignment where you will have to work on something we didn't talk about. So I think the right time for the first assignment will be after this lecture, but also anyone who done it, I'm super glad that you were able to, because yeah, it was a pretty easy one. So I expanded it. I added a few stuff. It's not just the API, it's the whole CRUD API. But yeah, we will talk a bit more about the assignment in the end. Anyone who did the assignment and of the first version of the assignment can just expand on it and republish it. So let's start. First, I would like to speak about the two main roles in the whole web. It's clients and the servers. So there's a one analogy that's most commonly used for describing this process, and it's like the whole web is the restaurant. You are the client, you are the guest, you pick the order from the menu, and you are sending the order, you're using the request, and in the kitchen, they prepare the meal, the response. The kitchen here is a server. The client can be anything, your browser, your mobile phone, any type device that's connected to the internet. Sending requests, you will see that those requests are defined by the protocol called HTTP, Hypertransit Text Protocol, and the server is actually the backend. And we will be focusing mostly on how to create a good server. So as I said, frontend is on your device. It can be mobile app as well. It mostly runs on the browsers. You are using most commonly used frameworks for developing the front-end apps. Front-end are apps, actually, are React.js, Vue.js, and on the backend, it runs on the server. Server can be run actually locally in the beginning when you're developing the app, and later on you are hosting it somewhere. We'll talk about that as well in this lecture. Backend, we will be using the frameworks for backend. We will be using the Node.js, Next.js, but you can also use Python. There's a Flask framework, and also there are a bunch of others. .NET, like for enterprise solutions, Spring Boot from Java, and etc. Okay, when you're sending the request, you have to know to who are you sending the requests? You need to know the address. And for that, in the internet, we are using the URLs. So let's go through the anatomy of the URL. First, it's HTTP. Each URL on the internet is defined by HTTP and HTTPS. HTTPS is just the encrypted version of the HTTP protocol. So it's defined, okay, we are using HTTP protocol. Domain, so here you can see it can be FlyRank.ai, that's the domain, but also it can be localhost. If you're running locally, when you start your Node.js app or the Python app, you will see localhost 3000. In this case, for Python, I think the default port is 8000. That's fine, you can change that in the app, but that's just, let's use the analogy, that's like just the door you are looking at. And you won't be able to host two different apps on the same port. So maybe if you get that problem, you most likely already started your app somewhere else in maybe different code editor. On the internet, this port is also available, but it's invisible. If you Google, if you search for, let's say, FlyRank.ai and put this on the end, you'll see that the page will be loaded as well. So after that, there's a path parameter. So you will know where to look at in the server. And there are query parameters. Look at them as the arguments. If you want to search for something specific, this is like just the query. For this example, if we are creating the to-do list on assignment, so this says, okay, give me a task tree. And also, if we remove this, maybe use just done, it will give us a task, all the tasks that are done, or the status is done equal true. Okay, so this is just to visualize everything. So you, the client, type in FlyRank.ai in your browser. The browser here is the client. It will so it starts the loop. It will send the request. This will be the basically, if you open just FlyRank.ai, it will be a basic GET request. We'll talk about it later. Then DNS, that's highly speaking, is just the phone book of the internet that will convert the FlyRank.ai domain into the IP address, so it knows where to look. And then request travels through the internet. Server receives the request. You will see that server is organized by routes. Each route will send that request somewhere, and then that server will do the operations that it's required to do. Maybe fetch some data from database, do some operations on that data, and send the response to the client back to the browser or the phone app. So where does server actually live? So we are resending requests. So basically, when you are developing, in that phase, you will be running your server on your PC. So you will start your app locally, and you will be able to test it out. Once you start with the exercise, you'll see. And then basically, you can host that on the server. It can be data center. So you basically, before those were like big compute, talking like this. So I want one note before everything. I'm speaking of everything from the high level of abstraction, so you get the clearer picture of what I'm trying to present here, but everything here will be provided in resources which you can visit and read more and have better insight in how that stuff actually work. So before, people were using like servers, the big computers that were always on, that could be able to process millions of requests a day. But if you, for example, want to just host your portfolio, for example, which won't be visited a lot, or maybe if it's amazing portfolio, it will, but most likely for some it would be too expensive for you to host it on just that server. So people are using the clouds now. Let's talk about clouds. So you don't want to pay. So if you want to use your lamp, you don't want to pay for the whole power plant. You want just to pay the bill of what you use, and that's how the cloud actually works. You are paying only for what you are using. So when you hear the word cloud, so you don't feel frightened by the word, but actually just to understand that is basically the work on the servers, but there is a lot to it. There are whole careers living there, like cloud engineer, DevOps engineer, cloud architect. So I will try to provide you with, I will provide you with the resource about the cloud, but also I'll send you some links there, so you could revisit the other sources, because this is a huge topic. There's a lot of stuff there, but okay. Most popular cloud providers are AWS, Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure, but and there are so many things there. So I encourage you to take a look, try to read more about it, and inform yourself. So HTTP, we mentioned. So that's the protocol the web speaks. So the protocol is just like the agreement on how things should function, how the requests and responses should be structured. Here's the example of one GET request. So it's of one request. Each request has the method. The method here is GET. There are 9 methods. We will go through 4 of them, but there are also 5 more of them. We will mention them later on. So the method, okay, what the GET is just give me something back. Path, the address. So who are you asking to give something? Headers are the extra nodes, like accept application JSON. We say, okay, I want to accept the JSON response. JSON response is just the format of the text that is used in web for communication. And here in the body, there can be message inside. If we are using the GET methods, we are actually just asking, okay, provide me something, and we use the query parameters in the URL for giving some additional information. But the body is used, for example, on post requests, when we want to send something to the server so it could store it in the database or wherever. And the server, here's how the server actually handles that. Server has to expose all of the different routes that the front-end app or the browser will know that they exist, and upon getting the request, it processes it, tries to do the stuff that's requested, and based on the output, it will send the status code. Status code are used for communication and better understanding of what's the output and if something went wrong. Inside response, you see the responses are pretty similar. So status, headers, what formats will be used, and the body, the actual response. So the body actually can be in JSON type, or it can be actually the HTML. So mostly browsers are using the HTML. You can look up for what's server-side rendering, where they prepare the whole page and send back to your browser, and the whole page loads. But they are also like the front end is the app, where the app lives on its own on your browser, and it doesn't need to fetch the whole app, the whole HTML. It just requests some fragments, like to fill the placeholder it needs, and it just requests title and the status, so it could be filled. So we've mentioned the status codes. Here are the four most important groups. 200. If you see 200 code, that means it's all good. So anything that starts with 2 is good, but they are like, if it's 201, it's good to use that for sending the message that, okay, it's created or something was deleted. The 301, for example, is a status code when something is moved permanently, and basically it's for redirections. If the status code starts with 4, that means that there's a mistake on the client. The request you sent isn't good enough. There's some mistake on the end of the client, and most likely you will have to look up in the request you created. If the request and if the response starts with 5, that means your server made a mistake. It doesn't handle the request properly. And so you, as a backend developer, it's your job to design this whole system to handle all of these, to understand what's going on in your app, and to handle and to understand what are those different kinds of requests that you could receive, and you need to handle all of them. And by saying handle them, you will need to validate and say, okay, this one shouldn't go through, and I will just return 400 status code, which means bad requests. So I wanted to also share, tell you more about the DevTools. This is a great tool inside every browser. If you click F12 or press right click and go to inspect element, you could open up your DevTools. This provides you a great tool to see how browsers actually work, and you can see the whole HTML of the website. You could see the console that's good for tracking the logs and what's actually happening on the page. Network, what kind of requests are being sent, if something went wrong, and provides you a great insight in everything. I will also provide one resource for this in the portal, and there are plenty of good videos on YouTube that you could use and see the exercises there, which I'll also can provide for the portal. But also, it's not just these three. You can have the insight into storage, memory, in cookies, plenty of stuff. So please take a look at it. It'll help you understand the web much better. So for example, here is the example of the network tab. Like if you open up Wikipedia or any website and have the network tab open on your right, you will see something like this. Bunch of different requests. For each picture, there's a one request, each image one request, and it'll most likely be 200, and you can see how many requests are actually sent. So here are the 4 verbs that run entire web. So these are the HTTP methods. So the methods of the protocol. The most important ones are presented here on the slide. It's get, post, put, and delete. You see the descriptions here. I have one question. Do you guys know any other HTTP methods? Feel free to write in the comments. And do you guys remember, I think I said it earlier, how many of the requests, how many of the HTTP methods are there? Patch is one. Query, I don't think the query is method. Options patch, yes. Oh, the new one, query. Okay. Yeah. I know about 919, head, connect, options, trace, and patch. Query is a new one. I didn't know about that. You see, you learn every day. You'll learn something new. I will make sure to include the query in this presentation, in these resources, and try to explain it as well. So thank you guys. I learned something new. I said in the beginning I'll probably learn something new from you. So yeah, I didn't expect to be this early, but yeah. So get is just for fetching the data. It doesn't have the body. You just if you send get requests to, and you'll get tasks. When you send post, you have the route. It's defined on the server that it's the post route. You are sending the post request. You provide the body, what you want to add. You use JSON, and you on your assignment you'll use JSON, for example, and send the new task and the maybe description of the task. You can expand that JSON, and then server will process it and save it. Put is for update. If you, for example, if you created the task and you want to change its status of completion to done, you'll use put, where you will update that. You'll update the whole item, and delete is for deleting the task. So as I previously said, you as a backend developer, you need to work on your design. You need to design the whole server to work, and also you need to be cautious because there could be some malicious requests. There could be not intentionally, but just bad requests, and if you don't handle them correctly, something might get broken in the server. So it's important for you to handle them, and also not just to handle them, but to provide the exact information about what went wrong. If there was something missing in a body, if there was a completely wrong route, the more data you provide here and the more you validate this, the better developer you are, and it will be easier for you to work and build upon everything. Yeah, we will have Discord server. Please, just so this is a interactive page I created just to show you how it actually works. So, okay, let's select get request, and just to get everything, the front. And we are getting the name task API. So if we want to get all the tasks, we'll go to route/tasks, send request, and we have the insight in our current task. We have 2 tasks. If we go to post and add the new task, we will add the title, my new task. So you will see here how the request looks like, and then this is the response. Okay, it was 201, it's created, and it generated a new ID, and probably server handled this to put the initial value of done field as false. Okay, so if we go to get and go to tasks, you will see, okay, now we have a new task. If we go to delete and select my new task, you see the ID of the 3 was the number of the ID. This will be in URL. Here will be the domain and the rest of the URL. And if we send it, we will see, okay, 204, it's deleted, but successfully deleted. So in a good way. And okay, it's now deleted. So this is how actually it works, but you see the front end makes this much more appealing, better, but actually everything's just sending the data from one side to another, and bunch of data that gives you insight in something is called information, and that's why everything's called IT, information technologies. There's puts as well. I skipped it, so it's just to update. We can add watch the lecture. Watch the best lecture, and it just updated it. Okay. So I have one question for you as well. So what do you think? Can the server be the client? What do you guys think? Brainbox, you're my favorite intern. Yes, it can. So that's why we use the APIs, and we are retrieving using the JSON. So when people are using the server, we are enough with the response of the HTML, but it will be too much data for a backend server to receive each time the HTML, and it fetches only what it needs. So APIs are actually those points that are used, are points that, yes, you can resubmit the assignment. Please, the questions regarding the assignments we'll leave for the end. Yeah, an app, yeah, sorry, browser. The server can be an app, and it uses it can be a client because it can use the APIs from the different servers to receive that data, and you will see how that actually works, and you will use it more than you think. For example, if you want to implement the AI inside your app, you will have to use the API that the OpenAI, CRUD, or whoever create the documentation, and you will have to read the documentation, understand how they design their app, what are the requests and responses, and then you integrate that inside your app so you could use it. And we will do that later on in this track. So yes, it can be a client, and most of the time the server will actually do that type of stuff. And those are the API requests, fetching the JSON data, and yeah. Sorry, I got a bit confused because I'm trying to read your comments, and when I see the questions, it can derail me a bit. So please, always the questions around the assignments we'll keep for the end, because we always have the we will always have the Q&A session in the end. So JSON, the language the API speaks. So JSON is just the format. It's not the language. It's compatible with all the languages, and it's defined by the key and value pairs. ID is key, and tree is the value. Title is the key, and this is the value. Here you can also, it can be using the arrays. You can see the square brackets here. So basically, it's pretty easy to understand, and also it will be the resources on this. You can read more about it, but this is just enough for you to understand that. Call a real API, no browser needed. To understand how the APIs, you don't need to have an app or the browser to send a request to API. You can use the curl method from your terminal, and you will be able to send requests. But also, if you're not using the terminal, you can use different tools like HubSpot. You can use the Postman, and those are tools great for testers. For example, if you're working on your backend environment and you have your QA tester, they can create big collections inside those apps to have everything in place and to have better overview of all the APIs in the app. Something I mentioned in the assignment, in the assignment for week 1, is Swagger URI or OpenAPI. So this is a package for JSON, and I think it's integrated in the Fast API in Python that generates you the page on all of the APIs your app has. And it will present it like here, and it's easy to navigate, and you'll be able to see all the routes, all the different requests that are being handled. And you can also send requests there. So I would like you just to implement that in your app, just to see how it looks like. But also, what I wanted to mention is GraphQL. So, for example, not the whole this type of APIs. What we were talking about, this is the REST APIs, but not the whole internet uses the REST API. I think Facebook uses GraphQL, and also we worked a lot on with Shopify, and Shopify is using GraphQL. And so what's GraphQL? So it's basically the query language of the HTTP protocol, which helps you retrieve the data in a different way. So instead of having a bunch of different API endpoints for each item, for tasks, for example, users, descriptions, whatever, you don't need that many doors. You can have one door and just select what you want to receive. So this is a great example. So for GraphQL, you are sending request to GraphQL. It's post request. You select what you want. I want just title, and it'll return me the title. You can select then done, and you'll get done. So this is the high overview of everything. But I'll provide you also with resources that you can use to read more about GraphQL, how it's used, and yeah. So I think we came almost to the end of this presentation. Now let's talk about the assignment. So in the assignment, I want you guys to create your first CRUD API. CRUD is the acronym of create, read, update, and delete. So basically, someone asked me to repeat the GraphQL. So I'm a good mentor. I'm going to do it for you, Hamza. Don't worry. So GraphQL is a different way for retrieving the data. Instead of using just REST API, there's a different way of retrieving the data. So as I said, Facebook, Shopify now use the GraphQL. There's one endpoint, one API that you are sending the requests to, but you are forming different type of requests. In the request, you are saying what you want to get, what kind of information, what kind of data you want, and based on that, you see here how the query changes if I add title and ID as well. The request is different from the REST API, and yeah, the responses are different. So you don't have to create, okay, if you expand your app with users and log, you don't need to create the API for users and stuff. You can use GraphQL. So assignments. So the first assignment, build your CRUD API. Hello server, just load your app. You can feel free to use any technology you want. It's about concepts. If you're more familiar with some other technology, then we will be using Node.js for this example. Feel free to use different one. It's okay. Start with one hard-coded GET request where you will just see how the sending requests goes, if it will return 200 stats code, and then expand it with the post requests where you will add the option of adding some new items there, and then update, delete. Then you can add the Swagger to see how the schema of your API endpoints looks like, and then you can publish it on GitHub. I also added some exercise. I wanted you to try to do it with just AI. Now, based on everything you've done and you learned, try to come up with the prompt where you will explain everything to it. Try to write the prompt yourself and see the outcome. See where you made mistakes. See how AI implemented that. See the differences, and if there are some differences, ask the AI about it. Try to learn from it. Also, in the step 6, I said publish. So in order to have this, to publish your assignment, you'll have to publish it on GitHub, and just paste the URL of your repository. But if you're not familiar with Git and GitHub, we will talk about it in the next session. So you please don't feel pressured to publish it as soon as possible, because it's okay if you publish later on. This is a self-paced internship where you decide when you want to do something. So yeah, also for your first assignment, the data will be stored. We won't use any database. It will be stored in your app, and you'll see that if you stop your app and run it again, your data will be lost. But in the next lecture, we will talk more about databases and where you can store your data and how that works. So that means, so yeah, in memory only, lists of codes. Try to use all the stats code that we mentioned here, like 200, 201, 400, 404. Handle the bad requests, publish on GitHub, and do the AI rematch. So hopefully you like this session. And yeah, I am ready for your questions. I really hope this was useful for you and you got to learn something new. No questions? I expected a lot of questions because they were popping up while I was presenting. Yes, you can do the assignment with AI, but the main purpose of this internship is for you to learn something. And I think when you work with AI, you're just executing stuff and you're not learning. But if you implement it and then try to see how you would perform with the AI later on, you get the best of both worlds. So Fast API is a framework for Python. So Python is a language, and then you have different frameworks that enable people to create web apps, backends, and stuff in different ways. So you have you follow their way of doing stuff, but sometimes their way of doing stuff is easier for you to comprehend and understand, so you decide to use one framework. But so there's a difference between programming language and the framework. For example, on JS is the language, and then you can use Next.js, you can use Nuxt.js, you can use Nest.js. They're all similar, but yeah, there are different frameworks, and each of them has its own, let's say, way of thinking and way of working that could be more suitable for you. So I encourage you to look into them, but not lose too much time in picking your framework. So for those who worked on the first assignment, build your first API endpoint, I sent a message on the portal. I made and also said in the beginning of this message, I updated this assignment. For me, it was too basic, and then I decided to expand it a bit. So I renamed the title and provided you with an additional PDF with covering all the requirements in depth. Yes. So the assignment for week 2, I didn't publish it yet. I will for all the assignments, I provided you with the titles that also could be changed and just the descriptions. I will try to cover all the assignments this week. So, but I just want to provide you with the in-depth requirements and the resources that are needed, so you could actually benefit from doing it and not just the executing the assignment. And yes, you can use the whatever database you want. So yeah, I will update the assignments. Yeah. For now, they have just brief descriptions. That's overview of what's going to be worked on. Can GraphQL be thought of as a filtering mechanism? Since, well, you can have the filtering mechanism inside the REST API as well. So you have one endpoint, and you use, if you remember, those query parameters from the URL, and based on that you could do the filtering. But here the GraphQL just optimized that way on how to fetch stuff, and you can actually fetch different items. So I accidentally exited the stream. I hope you can hear me well. Can we start working? So you can start working on the week 1 assignment. The week 2 will be provided. So you can work on every assignment that has the PDF attached to it. Let's put it that way. I will provide all the additional information and all the in detail requirements inside the assignment inside the assignment PDF that will be attached to the exact assignment. Feel free to you can use just the backend, but I don't think it will be too hard for you to do the front end as well, because nowadays I think everyone should do everything. So we should be all trying to be full stack developers. So you will have to have background knowledge on the front end as well in order to be a good backend programmer. And this is pretty basic stuff that I would really encourage you to try to do that and do the front end part as well. There's no deadline for the assignment. So you don't have to publish it. If you don't know what's the difference between Git and GitHub, you don't have to publish it. You can wait for the next week, and where we will provide more information. Yeah, we are. I think we are on week 2, but I will take a look at it. This should be like week 2, but because we had the introduction of the internship held by Alan in week 0. Maybe that's where the confusion started, but yeah, we can handle that. You can just follow the assignments that are related to the live events, and you'll be good. Are we building the capstone assignment by assignment, or it'll be something different? So I wanted this to be the assignments to be steps toward the capstone, but the capstone can be a project on its own. So you treat it like that. So I don't see. Do we need to complete? Yes, you need to complete 5 assignments. Then you have the capstones, and capstones are defined on the portal, and there are no submission deadlines. Next live for the backend track will be next week. I think on Wednesday. I'll have to check. And yeah, then we will be talking about the developer survival kit. So I'll be just talking about different tools that every developer uses and how to use them, provide the context for them, and yeah, the capstones are some special assignments. There are multiple capstones. You have to pick one capstone and do the work there. And yeah, there are 4 of them or 5 of them, and you will have to pick one. And yeah, that's the main project. And I think that by doing the capstone, you're getting the most work and the most benefit from. Okay, I don't see any new questions. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for listening, for joining in today. Hope this was useful. You'll be able to share the feedback on the live lecture on my LinkedIn and also soon on the portal as well. So thank you, everyone. Goodbye.